Yo, dudes and dudettes, buckle up, because today we're taking a one-way trip to explore something that's like a sweet dream, a crazy acid trip, and talking to your parents about your grades. Just kidding. We're actually going to talk about something that happens to all of us, but I won't spoil the surprise. Oh wait, we all know how this movie ends. Yeah, you guessed it. We're talking about death, baby. Kicking the bucket, biting the dust, taking a dirt nap, whatever you want to call it. We're going to dive into the great unknown and see what's on the other side. Or maybe not. But before we get spooky, let's warm up those brain cells with a little riddle. What do watching the Game of Thrones finale, going to the dentist, and trying to understand what your girlfriend actually meant have in common? Let's see if you can crack this one. All right, time to spill the tea. The answer is, they all end in pain. But seriously, let's dig deeper and find out what happens to our bodies when we go bye-bye. From a scientific point of view, it's pretty straightforward. Your heart stops beating, your lungs stop breathing, and it's full chill mode, also known as clinical death. Your blood just chills at the bottom thanks to gravity, your skin gets paler than a ghost, and your cells start breaking down. You've got like 5 or 6 minutes of oxygen left after your last breath. So if you don't want to become worm food, better have someone nearby who knows CPR. Speaking of that last breath, if you've never seen someone die, it's like this. You think it's all over, show's finished, and then, bam, another breath, and the muscles in their face relax, like they finally let go. That's when you know it's really curtains. Then, the body gets cold like yesterday's pizza, muscles stiffen up, and it's game over, man. The body's done, but we're curious about what happens to our consciousness, right? A lot of people compare death to sleep, like you just doze off and that's it, no more problems. Sounds poetic, but scientifically speaking, not so much. See, when you sleep, your brain activity slows down, like someone turned down the volume. In the beginning stages of death, something similar happens, but for different reasons. When you sleep, your brain goes into power-saving mode, but when you die, it just shuts down because it's out of juice. It's like the difference between turning off your computer with the button and just yanking the plug out of the wall. Another popular idea is seeing a light at the end of a tunnel, meeting dead relatives, and all sorts of other trippy stuff. People think it's like dreaming, but there's a catch. We have those vivid dreams during REM sleep when our brain is actually super active. It's like lucid dreaming. Your body's asleep, but your brain's wide awake. But when you die, your brain gradually shuts down, so those crazy dreams are pretty unlikely. Clinical death isn't the same as actual death. It's like going to someone's house. You're inside, but you can leave anytime. And even those who've experienced clinical death mostly say they didn't see anything special. So maybe death is just darkness and silence. Or maybe not. Okay, enough science talk. Let's peek inside our chemical lab, aka the body. What's going on in there when we die? It's a freaking party, dudes. Our body throws a cocktail of hormones into our blood that are responsible for stress, euphoria, pain relief. It's a wild ride. First up, adrenaline and noradrenaline, the stress hormones. They're like screaming, "Danger, dude! Run for your life!" The feeling is similar to chugging a gallon of energy drinks or snorting a line of Coke. Everything gets brighter. You feel like you can conquer the world, or die trying. Next up, endorphins, our natural painkillers. They're there to ease the pain and stress, so you might feel like you just took a hit of heroin or morphine. Total relaxation, euphoria, and no pain. Cortisol joins the party too. It's responsible for the immune system and metabolism, and its release is like a reaction to stress. Imagine drinking 3 gallons of coffee and trying to take an exam. That's how your body feels before death. And then there's vasopressin and oxytocin, which regulate water balance and stress levels. Oxytocin is the love and hug hormone, so maybe before death you'll feel like you're cuddling with your loved one, or a teddy bear. It's a gamble. It's important to understand that this hormonal cocktail is unique for everyone, just like the experience of death. Some might feel euphoria and orgasms, while others might experience horror and panic attacks. It all depends on the circumstances of your death, the kind of person you are, and maybe even your karma points. But one thing's for sure, you definitely won't be bored before you die. Alright, are you intrigued? I bet you've heard stories about people who've had near-death experiences and talk about seeing visions, meeting angels, and all sorts of miracles. Let's take a look at a couple of these cases and see how legit they are. One of the most popular cases is the story of Pam Reynolds. This lady had a complex brain surgery during which her heart stopped. According to her, she left her body, watched the surgeons, and then went to the other side, where she met her relatives. Sounds cool. But there are a few buts. First of all, there's no proof that Pam was completely unconscious during the surgery. There's this thing called intraoperative awareness, where a patient under anesthesia can hear and see what's happening around them. So maybe Pam just overheard the surgeons talking and later turned it into a near-death experience story. Secondly, she only talked about her experience after she was fully awake from the anesthesia, so she had plenty of time to make up this story. Or maybe her brain filled in the details based on the bits and pieces she heard. And this isn't the only case like that. Many near-death experience stories have perfectly earthly explanations. For example, seeing a light at the end of a tunnel can be explained by oxygen deprivation in the brain and meeting dead relatives, by the person's desire to find comfort in the face of death. So before you start believing in heavenly gardens and hellish cauldrons, it's worth considering if our brain isn't just playing tricks on us, making us see what we want to see. Okay, enough with the heavy stuff. Let's lighten the mood a bit. You know, there's this funny fact. When you die, it's not just your facial muscles that relax, but also the muscles that control. Well, you know what I mean. So, if you ever see someone dying, better stay away. You never know what might happen. They also say that your whole life flashes before your eyes before you die. I wonder if people who've been glued to their phones all their lives will just see an endless TikTok feed? Or here's another funny thought. A lot of people are afraid of death because they don't know what's on the other side. But I think the scariest thing is staying here and watching your friends post vacation pics while you're stuck at home rewatching Game of Thrones for the 10th time. All right, guys, enough laughs. Let's wrap this up. Today we learned that death isn't some mystical portal to another world. It's just a natural process. What we'll feel at that moment, nobody knows for sure. Maybe euphoria, maybe nothing at all. But one thing's clear, life is finite. So we gotta appreciate every moment and not sweat the small stuff. Live life to the fullest, do what you love, and don't be afraid to be yourself. What do you think about death? Do you have any experiences or thoughts on this topic? Share them in the comments. It'll be interesting to read. That's all for today. See you later, and until next time in the world of the living.